Hi everyone, I'm Jill. Welcome to my show, and thank you so much for watching. So I grew up in Miami with my dad. He raised me. He loved Chinese food, as did I, and so I have fond memories of my dad and I going to various Chinese restaurants to sit down and eat, or we had a favorite takeout place, and I think it was North Miami, where we pick up some food and bring it home. Now, if you grew up in the same age I grew up, which was in the 60s and 70s, you'll remember that when you would go out to eat and you'd order your meal, you'd always be served a bowl of wonton soup with a plate of egg roll and a fried shrimp. So my father loved wonton soup. Now I remember when I was eating the wonton soup, I would kind of pull off the wontons and eat the little meatball inside. So I'm going to make a low-carb wonton soup. It's really wonton-less, but I'm still going to stick with low-carb wonton soup. All right, so we're going to start with a pound of pork. Oh, thank you, Ed. What I've done was, before I started this, I took some black fungus mushrooms and I soaked them in some hot water. They're also called wood ear mushrooms. About a little bit less than ½ an ounce. You can see once they've soaked, they really balloon up. So you end up with about ½ a cup. All right, so we've got our pound of ground pork. Now I'm going to add some ginger to the ground pork. I'm going to use a grater. I'm going to grate some in there. All right, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little chopper. So funny, I got this chopper on a late night TV show. So to the chopper, I'm going to add the rest of that piece of ginger. It was about 2-inch piece. You want about a tablespoon of ginger in here. So I'm going to put that right into the chopper. And then you're going to want about a teaspoon of garlic. So that's about 2 cloves, and put them in to my chopper. I also want some scallion for color. So I'm going to use about 2 of them. I'm going to save the rest of this to put into the soup after it's cooked. So I'm just going to cut this up a little bit. I'm going to process it. It's a lot quicker. You can just cut it all with a knife if you prefer, but I like to put it in my little chopper. It just makes everything really fast and easy. So it's done. Perfect. All right, now what I want to do, I'm going to add some wood ear mushrooms, and I'm adding them after because I don't want them really grated up the way I did the garlic and the ginger and the scallion. So I'm going to put about just pick out some like that right into here. The rest I'm going to use in the pot of soup. So put it like that. And this we're just going to do a quick little pulse. 1, 2, that's it. So we're done with this. Now, take out the blade. I'll link below where you can get one of these. So add this to your bowl of ground pork. And I've got a pound of ground pork. Now if you're kosher, or you don't eat pork, just use ground chicken or ground turkey, or you can use ground beef, I suppose. So put that in there. All right, next we're going to add 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. So here's the soy sauce. This usually, the inside of the wonton has the meat inside, and so you can make it a little moister. But since it's going to be naked meatballs, I'm going to use less wet stuff in the meat mixture, and I'll add the other wet stuff to the soup so that the meatballs don't fall apart. So we've got 2 teaspoons of soy sauce into the meat mixture. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of Sambal Oelek. And that's actually exactly right. That just gives it a little bit of depth of flavor. It's not going to make it spicy, so don't worry about that. After we've added in the Sambal Oelek, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of rice vinegar. Add that in. Now we're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of sesame oil. All right. Looks good. And now one more thing. We want to make sure the meatballs stay together and don't fall apart. So in order to ensure that's going to happen, I'm going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon, or a little bit less actually, of xanthan gum. So now I'm going to mix this up. So you want to mix it up really well. See, in the green color, the scallion is going to make it look pretty, but it'll keep it together because everything in here is pretty dry. If you feel the meat is too loose, add a little more of the xanthan. But this is perfect. So I am going to take the meat mixture and I'm going to start to make some meatballs and put it into the pot. You want to roll your meatballs about, I would say, let me see how much this is. This big. I think it's about 1 inch. You should get about 40 meatballs, like that. Just put it into the pot. So I'm going to have Ed roll them for me while I make the soup. Alright, so now we're going to do the broth. The broth is basically a chicken broth. So here, let me put that down. You can either use a box of broth, a can of broth, whatever is your favorite.
Make your own?
Make your own. Make your own, right? I just mix up from Better Than Bouillon. Now we've got 8 cups of broth, which means I've used 8 teaspoons of the chicken base with 8 cups of water. All right, I'll pour that in after that gets in there, so we don't run into each other. So what I want to do is I want to season up the broth a little bit. Now it's basically as I said, a plain broth. It's not highly seasoned. So I'm going to add some more ginger and garlic. I don't want chunks in my broth. I want basically a clear broth. So what I'm going to do is just cut the garlic into pieces like this, and I'm going to put it into a little bag, a little soaking bag, like a tea bag. And I'll do the same thing with the garlic. That way I can pull it out before I serve it. I'm just using this little bag. If you don't have any, I'll link below so that if you want to get some, you can get some. You can also use a little tea ball as well, you know, if it fits, whatever size you have. You're going to put that into the little bag, just like that. And we're going to tie it up and put it into the pressure cooker. Now the garlic is going to mush up more than the ginger, so I'm putting all the garlic in here. I'm going to tie it up. The rest of the ginger I'm just going to toss in because that's easy enough to pull out. So I'll put that in there. Go ahead. The ginger I'm just going to toss in there. And now we're going to add a little bit more rice vinegar, about a tablespoon. Alright, and now we're going to add the rest of the wood ear mushrooms that we set aside, just to give it some more color. Now I know this soup is basically a plain soup, but I thought, why not? We'll just mix that in. How you doing? Oh, you're almost done. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to just put my hand here so that it hits off my hand before it goes in. Pour that in. So now we're going to lock on the lid. Make sure you close the pressure valve. You push it away from you. And we're going to set the cook time to just 2 minutes. Pork cooks really fast. So remember, as your pot is heating up, the meatballs are cooking. And then once the 2-minute cook time is finished, it's still cooking once it comes down and the pressure is released. So we're going to let it cook for 2 minutes. After it beeps, for 10 minutes, I'm going to do nothing. Then I'll slowly release the pressure. And when that's done, I will open it up and show you what it looks like. So the pin has dropped. Before you open the pot, we're going to cut a little bit of vegetables and put them right in. I'm going to have Ed cut up 3 scallions. So I'm going to take some bok choy and I'm going to roll it up. I'm just going to roll it like this. Doesn't matter which direction. And I'm going to cut it so that it's in little strips. So you're ready? I'm going to take the lid off. Open it away from you. It's hot. Ooh, look at that. That little sachet bag is right at the top. See that? Right at the top. Okay, so we're going to add in the greens. Like that. Just give it a mix through. You can add as much as you want. I added a couple of leaves. I also want to add a little Napa cabbage just because I like it. Look at the meatballs. You can see them in there. They stay together. Here, I'll pull one out and show you. Look at that. The meatballs stay together. The reason I'm putting the greens in after I open the pot, we don't want them cooked and wilted and nasty. We want them a little crunch to it.
I don't think you want to use all of that.
How many scallions is that?
3.
That's 3? Yeah, put them all in.
All of it?
Yeah. So for the Napa cabbage, I'm going to cut it right down the middle. I'm just going to cut it on the diagonal. And just put it in the hot broth. It's just going to wilt up really fast and cook. Plus I like it. So instead of the wonton wrappers, we just have a little extra veggies. So I'm going to leave the white parts down there and just put, ouch, it's hot, and just mix it around. That looks really, really, really good. And also the last thing I want to add to this before I serve it is a drop of toasted sesame oil. A drop goes a long way. If you don't have toasted, you can just use pure sesame. I use pure sesame in the meatball, so for this, I like to use toasted. You don't want to cook with toasted. Toasted goes on as like a finishing sauce, so just put a drop. See if I can manage a drop. Okay, that's good. Gonna mix this around. You see the greens are already wilted. That looks fantastic. And then each person can add soy sauce to their own bowl. Some people like a lot, some people like a little. Let me serve some up in here. Do you see how it looks good? Nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You like?
Yeah, I love wonton soup.
All right, so I'm just going to show you how it looks like this. And then I'll serve up some individual bowls and we'll have a little bit. Oh my God, this is so hot I shouldn't be holding this. All right, so now you saw the broth is really light. Let me show you. See the meatballs, how nice they look? And you can see mixed in with the meatballs are some of the green tops of the scallions. So I like to add soy sauce in mine. I don't put soy sauce into the soup pot a lot, just a little bit. I didn't do any today because I wanted to show you how light the soup was, and then you add your own. Some people don't like a lot of salt. We do. So normally I put about 2 teaspoons of the soy sauce in with the soup broth, and then I usually add a little. So I'm going to add some right now. All right, have you tried it yet, Ed?
Not yet.
Well, give it a taste. Tell me what you think. Still hot. Still hot.
I need more of this.
It's hot. It's hard to hold this. We let it cool off a little bit just so we could hold it. So, I mean, try a meatball. That's too much. I'm going to burn myself.
Oh, that's better.
Mm. Mm. It's really flavorful. It tastes like...
You can just sit there and listen to us going,
and slurping. So it tastes like regular restaurant quality wonton soup, just without the wonton wrappers. And again, that's why I added different things to the broth. If I had mixed more of that wet things in...
Oh, there's Avi.
He always has to make an appearance. Remember Junie Moon, my sweet Junie Moon? It used to be her, and now Avi is doing it. Avi's actually older than Junie Moon. He's going to be 21 soon. So when you make the meatballs, you want to do them really tight so they stay together. And that's why I added some more
Xanthan Gum.
Right. And the vegetables to the soup, and the rice vinegar to the broth rather than mixing. I didn't want a real mushy meatball that would have fallen apart because I would have put more soy sauce in as well.
But it's not. It's firm. And
it is firm.
It's got bite.
It's firm but tender. I'm going to show you a meatball if I can.
And Avi's got a big mouth.
So, let me show you this.
He says, where's my wonton?
I just broke this one up. I can't get a meatball. I'm smashing them with my spoon. There's one. Whoa. So you can see the meatball. It's nice. Nice and firm. It's got color in it. Oh, I got a Woodear mushroom. That's so good. That's so good. Well, I hope you enjoyed our show today. And there's a lot more Chinese restaurants on my website, thisoldgal.com. I'll put the whole recipe.
Actually, there's Chinese recipes, not restaurants.
Did I say restaurants? Mm-hmm. All right. So, again, there's lots of Chinese recipes on my blog, thisoldgal.com. I'm sure you'll love them. I try to make them as, I don't want to say authentic since I've never been to China, but I try to make them, I try not to Americanize my food. So hopefully you'll like it. I think you will. It's not in my cookbook, but I do have a cookbook out, This Old Gal's Pressure Cooker Cookbook. So if you want to get it, there's wonderful recipes in here.
All right, let's get to the end.
All right, I'm going to link below where you can get the different things I used, and I'll put the recipe down there and the directions. And thank you so much for joining us. Hit that bell so you'll be notified of all the new recipes coming up. Bye, everyone. Thank you.